This was definitely an interesting pool. I had a sealed pool on stream yesterday that I'm not convinced had a good build, whereas this one I think has three possibilities at least. And I'm not sure whether I've just got Nissa blindness, like, ooh, Planeswalker, have to play it. So I'll be interested to see how these games play out, and as we swap between the two decks, seeing which one is actually best. Because Nissa is the main draw for the green one. That and the Jiraga Auxiliary, but the removal suite here is very interesting. I'm tempted to just click submit and try this one out, but I want to see that green-white one. Alright, here we go. Alright, so this hand is an interesting one. It's 2-lander on the draw, and we've got 2 good 3-drops. I think you keep that all day long. Like, yeah, we could miss on green mana, and it would suck. It's also got our 1 splash card, which is kind of not where we wanted to draw it. We wanted to see that off the top late game. But as long as we do continue to hit some lands, we ought to at least be okay. The Envoy's not a bad draw there. Mainly because at least it's something I can play. Well, Mountain would actually be pretty dang good. Or Forest, or Forest. So, I want to get something down that I can use Vines of the Recluse to nom this dude. Because he needs to be nommed. I also kind of want to be able to play the Seer's Lantern at some point to try to get ahead on mana, as that's a way to get us out of here. Because, like, if I play the Jiraga Auxiliary and then next turn don't draw a land, I'll have to play the Lantern and I can't hold up Vines of the Recluse, and we're just going to sit here and get beat to death by this idiot. So I think the right play is actually play the Seer's Lantern, take 3, then next turn maybe I can't play a white card and still have the Vines up anyway. So I guess in that case we can attack with the Envoy, play the Auxiliary, and then plan on holding it back and maybe pretend we're going to double block or something. I just really need to draw a land next turn. It'll also give me the option to play a 4-drop. I mean, there's 0 chance he attacks with this. I guess that's the neat part about Vines, is you can still attack with it up. Yeah, because it untaps your dude. Let's do that, play the Auxiliary, and then see if we can make a play with Vines next turn. We could also again draw a Mountain, and our problem with Core Scythe Master goes away. Or is the Unknown Shores? All right. Somebody really wants that guy dead. Alright, allied reinforcements would have been good, but we cannot cast it. Which I think means we just Seer's Lantern and pass. Opponent's down to 3 cards. Now we're at the point where we just want to be able to cast the cards in our hand. To basically not get run over. Okay, that is something that will start to run us over. Allied reinforcements plus trick up starts to help. I think that means I can attack with this guy, as I'd take either of those blocks, and we'll be able to untap him if we need him. It's like he probably just activates this and sends him in, at which point like we can double block that. If I untap, I'm not getting a big enough butt to kill that, but I might be able to just untap, double block this. Should I not have attacked with this? Because making one of these guys a 2/4 is pretty awesome. Yeah, I think my best bet here is actually to double block these guys and then have the trick up. Because that way if he's got a removal spell like Gideon's Reproach or something like that, we can still pump it and survive. Like, obviously that guy can't survive, but this guy can. And that'll still get the dude off the table, and then we've got plenty of stuff to double block this guy with next turn. So we can go Scythe Master into Castigator. We're probably going to block that, though. So I think this is where we get a little more aggressive, at which point we're not blocking with the token. Yeah, we can get this guy out and this guy out. And if I got to double block it and trade these off, I will. We're kind of a long way away from them being super relevant as far as the pump goes. Like, I'm not just going to sit here and die to that. Well, it turns out maybe I should have, but I think we attack with the Scythe Master, play Castigator, keep up our Scry. We'll get our Scry on. And having Planar Outburst in your back pocket can't be a bad thing. Alright, Envoy. I see what you did there. We may just have to fire this off. I don't really want another Plains because we're so far away from Planar Outburst doing anything other than killing his dudes. So the question is, what are his last two cards? And if I attack here, what happens? Like, if he has another ally, we get drained pretty far. And we're at a point now where we can't attack through that. If he plays another ally and deals me 2, I could be in a little bit of trouble. But I think I'm actually going to give it one more turn and let him play one more creature. So instead of 4 for 3ing, I'm potentially getting a 4 for 4, cleaning up the board and give me one more chance to scry into some action. Because I think he just attacks with the Envoy and deals me 1, which isn't really the end of the world. And ideally he plays something huge here that's just unbeatable, or not. And I forgot to scry. Well, that's alright. I think at this point we swing team. This is not ideal play. I'm on cup of coffee number 1 this morning. He took all the damages, which I like. But I do think it's time to blow up the world. Question about whether or not we upkeep Scry. I still feel like once you upkeep Scry, you have to keep upkeep Scrying. Because like if we draw an Oblivion Sower here, we want to be able to cast it. Now he can pump that to trade with this, which is not ideal. Yeah, I guess that puts us dead to a removal spell. I think some mistakes were made there. Because he cannot slam this removal spell fast enough. Yeah. So So let's see if missing that one scry mattered. No, not really. Okay. Alright, so he's like aggressive-ish allies. Is this where I want the blue deck? I kind of think it is. I do like the crab against him. The sweep away seems fine, although the sweep away is actually not great against most of his stuff triggering rally and being allies, but it is pretty good on the colorless dudes where he might invest a mana in it and then we bounce it. We could also use it to bounce one of our own dudes before we planar outburst. I don't know. Yeah, I like Unity of Porpoise too. Alright, I think I want to give this one a try against him. It looks light on creatures, but again, Sheer Drop, Clutch of Currents, and allied reinforcements count as dudes too. I wouldn't mind another 2-drop, but I don't have one. Could consider running the Envoy. But I think this is alright. Let's try out this build. I need to see if this is any good too. Would you like to play first? Yes. Would you like to keep this hand? Yeah, it's going to need to draw a land, but it's got some of our strongest cards in it. It's not likely that we hit our 3rd land drop on time, but by turn 4 we can find it. Or it's just on top and everything's great because I'm a genius. I mean, that could happen too. Captain's Claws. All right. I see what you did there. I'm sorry to get crabby about it, but roar. Who's going to stay tapped? That's right, you are. Are you bold enough to block? This is what's known as a chump check. You're scared. Is your vampire scared? No, your vampire's not scared of crabs. Okay. It's possible that he spends his turn equipping and attacking, and we take an extra damage by making that attack. But with Unity of Porpoise in hand, I think attacking when I don't have a trick will mean that he's not necessarily clued into the fact that I have a trick when I have a trick. Alright, so there is the Sower of Havoc. Which he currently cannot pump, and which we currently can do bouncy shenanigans with. So I kind of like having Unity of Porpoise up and using it on these dudes so that next turn I can cast Benny and Containment Membrane, which oddly enough may mean that I attack with both of them. Unless he has a colorless source, this is just a 3/3, and a 2/5 blocks his board all day, and a 3/4 flyer is actually kind of scary. Now the other point is that Unity of Porpoise goes quite well on Benny, but I could also just attack with the flyer. Yeah, let's do that. Then he's got to worry about all sorts of stuff like counter spells, tricks. This also, he could potentially want to like sheer drop our gravity negator. He's played a land, it's not colorless, so that's good. All right. I think at this point we probably just double block this guy. We don't even have to double block that. Like he's missing colorless mana. We can eat a token, eat this thing, then surge that, and his board's gone. Or he could have Grasp of Darkness. Okay. Well then. We're coming up to Rolling Waters eventually. But they're not yet there. We also potentially have Oblivion Sour soon. I think we pretty easily play Benny. And probably have to get the flyer out of the way. And then just hold back. Like, yeah, this becomes a problem late game, but this is a problem now, and we don't have flyers of our own. This is one big crab. Myers Malice? Really? Really? Well, we had a plan. It was to cast those two big, wonderful cards and win the game. And now, we're just going to draw lands. All right. Walls up. We still have good draws. The Planar Outburst is still in the deck. There's still plenty of things that can happen here, but that's not good for us. That is actively bad. I think we just got a little blown out by that Myers Malice. I would have equipped that first, personally. All right, well, we got our own shoulder to shoulder. Ancient Crabs and Benthic Infiltrators standing shoulder to shoulder. Does that mean we can actually do anything? We've got 5 power worth of blocking. So we can double block something now at least. I do love blocking. Man, this is such a different game if we're able to resolve that Oblivion Sower. Like, double blocking this one's a little more dangerous because if he has a removal spell for the crab, we lose the Benthic Infiltrator. But double blocking this one is relatively safe. And that even if he kills one of the guys, we still get to keep our creature. So I think we have to go for that one. We're so far behind now that I think going to 6 is the right call. Willing to be wrong, though. That's not going to help either. Island is really not what we needed in this scenario. So here he probably just taps the crab, swings in with this guy, and we have to chomp. This is where like a sweep away would have been good. I think I'm basically playing against the sealed deck I had in the last video, right? Wasn't that the one I went off with Captain's Claws and it was good? I have a new respect for Havoc Sower as well. Alright, now we don't have a choice but to double block the guy and go to 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. Which probably still means we're dead. But that's literally the only play we have. I suppose the other argument is... Because what do we draw to get out of that at that point? He's got too many dudes. So like if our only out left is Planar Outburst, then we could chump it. Or just do something like this. Like take the damage from it and block this and go to 3. Which means that I suppose technically we can still draw the Planar Outburst and we don't lose one of our guys if we don't draw it. Is there anything else that we can draw that would get us out of that? Clutch sort of starts to. Because if we draw the clutch, we would bounce this guy and have another blocker. I mean, the downside of this block is it doesn't kill any of his stuff. So it's just throwing tokens at our face. Yeah, I think we just go to Rip Planar Outburst. Because even if we bounce a token, he gets to make another one next turn. We have another blocker, so like Clutch gives us one more turn to draw that. But I think with this, we now have to draw exactly Planar Outburst. And if he has Negate, we're not going to get it. All right. I think I made a mistake in the first game, which certainly doesn't help our case. But I also think this deck is better. Without a very timely Mire's Malice, I think we easily win this. Oblivion Sower into Rolling Waters just seems absurd. But we are 100% dead here. Ah! The Eldrazi allies are coming! Alright. That one hurt. We will be back for round 2. Sorry about the first round loss, but sometimes these things happen. You make a punt, you get Mire's Malice, you go cry sadly in the corner. We'll be back for the next round in just a minute, guys.